Hi everyone, it's Danny. Welcome back to my channel and another layout for the Confessions of a Paper Addict cut files design team. Today I'm going to be using the Stitched Leaves cut file. The link to this cut file will be in the description box along with the link to the shop and the Facebook group as usual. I have cut, as you can see, I've cut the stitching part of the cut file out on that. It's kind of like a berry maroon plum coloured cardstock, and then I've cut some of the leaves out on white. Now I'm just going through with the stitching holes and doing a chain link stitch in a variety of colours. I've gone with a couple of different shades of deep red, and I have this dusty pink and I think a bit of a sage green colour. And I'm just doing a chain link stitch. Like I said, I will zoom in, just in a second right now, and show you in real time how I do this. So you just start off your stitch with a single stitch, then you come up through the next hole, slide your needle behind the first stitches, and then back down through that same first hole. So up through the hole, straight behind those two stitches, and then down through that same hole. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that again, sped up, just so you can see. And we will skip to in a minute. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch too much of me hand stitching. So there we go. This is my photo. This is of me and my little man. This was taken in 2016. I think it was either late autumn or going into winter. So it was quite chilly. There, as you can see, there's a lot of leaves on the ground. It is still quite green because I live in the subtropics, so it never gets super cold. We don't really have like a leaves turning autumn season. It's pretty evergreen where I live, but you know, it was the correct season. So I've just drawn behind my photo just to give a rough idea of where it's going to sit with a it's actually a metallic silver colored pencil, and it shows up really nicely on a dark cardstock like this. So I've just tied a knot in the back of my stitching where I finished, and I just like to tape the end down with a bit of glue and a bit of washi tape. I just find the glue helps to keep the washi tape in place. And now I'm going to pack my leaves. Obviously I've gone ahead there and off camera stitched the rest of my little leaf trails. I haven't made you watch all that, and I've used a different colour for each trail. And obviously I have not stitched the part behind my photo because it's a lot of work for something that's going to be covered up completely. So I'm just going through all my paper pads and pulling out roughly the correct colours. I'm not being too particular about colours here. I'm just trying to pick some that look autumnal, and I'm just gluing down the leaves on to the paper and then trimming off the excess. I have this paper from Truly Grateful, Pink Paisley Truly Grateful collection, I believe. I got it in a Hip Kit Club grab bag that I purchased recently, so I really love this paper. It's beautiful. It's actually a beautiful collection. I didn't have any of it prior to this, so I'm really pleased to have this paper. So obviously I've gone ahead and fussy cut a lot of those leaves out. I don't use all of those. Well, maybe I do. I use a lot of them anyway. I'm just popping some foam squares behind the tops of the cut file leaves there. So I've just put them right on the top edge, and then I'm gluing the base straight flat to the layout. It's just giving those leaves a little bit of a lift at the ends and creating a little shadow. I've laid some of the leaves out there, the fussy cut leaves, just to give myself an idea of what they're going to look like, but I haven't glued any of them down yet. I'm going to add some layers to my photo. I'm using some tissue paper here. This is it's a pale pink with some little polka dots on it. And these papers I'm using are from a 1 Canoe 2 paper pad that I got from Spotlight recently. What was it? Is it Twilight, I think? Yeah, so that gold and white is from that. And this paper is from Crepe Paper Sweater Weather, I believe. That came in the same Hip Kit Club grab bag. So I've put together myself a little kind of autumn themed kit from some of the things that I got in that grab bag and some of the things from my stash. So that's what I'm using for this layout. I'm just splattering some white Liquitex acrylic ink now, just on my background because it is a plain cardstock, so I want to add a little bit of interest. So of course I'm going in with my gold as well. These two I love going in with these at the moment. They're kind of my go-to for splatters. And that's the Kaiser Mist, the gold one. So here we go. I am adding those layers behind my photo. Just used a staple there to hold them together. And I'm pretty sure that's all I do for photo layers. Oh no, I do come in with a bit of torn paper in a second. I'm just going in now with some foam squares, and I'm just putting them straight on the layout because I want them to fit in between those bits of stitching without sort of sitting on top, because that'll make it uneven. So I find the easiest way is just to stick them straight onto the layout rather than onto the back of the photo. And I've just used a combination of foam squares and single-sided adhesive foam. All right. Oh, I forgot about this actually. Another photo layer. So this is just a gold. It's like a streamer, a party streamer, but it's a metallic gold. So I thought that would go with the layout, and I've just put a strip of that either side of my photo, and I'm just going to do that down the sides. So I kind of put it on crumpled up so there was plenty of texture, and then I am just trimming it off so you just see a little bit of it peeking out from behind the photo there. I'm just playing around now. I was tossing up between using this is the other side of that leaf paper that I fussy cut, and I really like the stripes. It's got all those colours that are in the leaves, and I don't know, I really liked the gradient, the way it sort of changes from the top to the bottom colour. So I have this part of the layout off to the side where there wasn't much going on, so I thought I would tear that away and layer this stripy paper behind. And as I'm doing that, I've realised that I never trimmed off the branding strip, and this is a Kaisercraft cardstock that I'm using, and they have a branding strip on one side, but the other side is just all the one solid color. So I've made this mistake a couple of times before. If you don't trim off the branding strip before you start, and if you start on the opposite side, you don't realize until you've nearly finished that you never trimmed it down to size. So luckily I had enough top and bottom that I could trim that now, but I really have to make sure to trim it before I get started next time. So just use a bit of wet glue to glue that behind, and then a bit of wet glue on top of my foam there just to hold that photo in place nicely. These thickers, again, I think they came in that grab bag or in one of the kits that I got from them, from Hip Kit. And yeah, I just thought the colours matched my theme nicely, and I believe this title is actually dark navy, but it's coming up as black on camera, which is fine. Yeah, I just like it. Wild and free, why not? We were actually out of markets in the mountains, so yeah, I think it's fitting. Just playing around with some of these leaves now. I pulled in that label thinking I would use that for my journaling, but I didn't like the square. It just looked a bit weird floating there, so I used a circular label instead. And that's just from my dish of printable labels that I pull from. A little bit of wet glue behind there, and then I'm just getting my placement sorted, and then I'll do a few lines of journaling, just talking about where we were, that it was a cool autumn day, and the date, I think. Going ahead and gluing everything down now. I do just fuss around with these leaves a little bit, trying to decide exactly where I want to put. So I'm just putting a spot of wet glue behind and trying to fill in some of those gaps. And I'm trying to sort of organize the colors so that they're nicely distributed, but I'm not worrying too much about it. And, you know, sometimes like here, there's two purple ones together and two pink ones together, and I'm trying not to worry too much about that. Just going with the flow. Go. I'm trying to be careful not to fill up every single gap, which I am. I tend to do. All right, I thought there were a couple of weird gaps, like here at the top left of my photo and at the bottom of my photo. So I've just taken this paper from one of my little 6x6 paper pads, and I like the orange, so I'm just tearing that and using it to fill in a couple of those gaps. And now I have these again from Hip Kit. They're just clear stickers with black phrases on them, so just using a couple of those in that little space. And then I will sprinkle some sequins around. This is a little set that I got from a friend, and there are quite a few kind of wood grain ones, and there's some bronzes, and I think I use kind of like a dark kind of matte gold. And I'm just sprinkling those around. I'm trying to kind of make clusters. I'm not worrying too much about numbers or anything. I'm just trying to make it look, kind of like they're floating around in the wind. And then I will come in with this different mix. I'm just using some of the golds out of this one, the little gold ones. And then I will just pull in some shinier gold ones out of my stash here. And that's going to be everything. My layout finished. Close-ups coming up. Don't forget to check the description box for all those links. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.